Hey Pilgrims, welcome back to Venture Pill, your weekly dose of startups and venture capital.
First up, we'll tell y'all about Magnus Carlsen's Fantasy Chess, which just announced $3 million in pre-seed funding led by Snow Ventures and Keeton. The grandmaster teams up with one of Norway's top businessmen to make chess a true spectator sport. And next, you'll hear about Local Kitchens, hot off their $40 million Series B led by General Catalyst, and how they are turning the ghost kitchen model on its head through their multi-brand restaurants with collaborations from beloved chefs.
And lastly, we have ZeroEyes, an AI-based gun detection, video analytics, and alert platform, which just raised over $53 million in Series B funding led by Sorensen Capital.
Another diverse and dynamic dose for the pilgrims out there. Let's do it, partner.
Here we go.
You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump.
This is Venture Pill, your weekly dose of startups and venture capital. We break down recent startups in the news and interview founders and investors to help you stay informed in the evolving world of venture.
All right, our first company of this week's dose is Magnus Carlsen's Fantasy Chess, which just announced $3 million in pre-seed funding. This round was led by Snow Ventures out of Norway, I believe, and Keeton, with additional investments from Breakthrough Initiatives and Teal Capital from Peter Thiel, as well as Austin legend Jim Breyer.
Yeah, quite an impressive cap table, and Fantasy Chess at name value alone color me interested. Before we get a little bit more into the actual product, let's dive into a little bit more on Magnus Carlsen for those who may not know who he is. He is widely considered one of the best, if not undisputably the best, chess player of all time. He has won 17 world championships. He became a grandmaster at just 13 years old, and he has been the world #1 chess player for 13 straight years. That is dominance that we don't really see much in any other sport.
Yeah. Yep, he's my GOAT for sure.
Me too.
For good reason there. Yeah, so obviously impressive there, but why fantasy chess? Like, what does that even mean? Well, the thought is that chess has really been growing in popularity over especially the last several years. Think about TV shows like Queen's Gambit, movies and documentaries covering chess, and just largely how popular it is online to play outside of just, traditional play with your friends and family. Magnus and the team see now as a great opportunity to develop chess into much more into an engaging spectator sport, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And Magnus, while he's certainly a grandmaster in chess, may not necessarily be a grandmaster in business just yet. And so to address that, he has partnered with a well-established business leader to take fantasy chess to the top. His CEO, Mats Andre Christensen, is well-versed in building and scaling digital products, having previously co-founded Scandinavia's largest online grocery retailer, Oda, which actually became Norway's first ever startup unicorn.
Yeah, so an impressive duo right there. Never seen a chess grandmaster partner with a successful CEO like that before, at least not in pill history, which is an illustrious history, I must say. But the Oslo-based company plans on launching officially in October of this year. And so with this funding and the backing of these impressive investors for such an early stage to have big names like that is obviously a telling sign. It's going to allow them to build out the team, come out of their beta, and then launch the site to the public. We'll be interested to see a little bit more how it works. There wasn't too much information on it just yet, so we were getting the gears turning.
Yeah, and excited to see how that dynamic partnership, how they play off each other, right? Magnus Carlsen is truly the LeBron James meets Lionel Messi meets Tiger Woods meets Roger Federer of chess. And he paired himself up nicely with a master of business. And
right, which would be the Michael Jordan meets Arnold Palmer meets Cristiano Ronaldo meets Rafael Nadal.
We'll pencil the rest of that. We'll take that conversation offline. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we're covering this company because you and I love fantasy sports. This is right in our wheelhouse, of course. And in the past, we've interviewed the founder of another company operating in the, let's call it the alternative fantasy space. And so that was Jonah Fialco of Bracketology. That interview was about 1.5 years ago. So part of our illustrious Venture Pill history, as you alluded to. But that was fantasy for reality TV. So another cool spin on the fantasy sports model. It also just plays off a broader trend we've covered with other companies in sports betting like Bettor and Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. Right, there's inevitably a rise in fantasy sports, sports betting, daily fantasy sports. That whole sector has been on the rise. And so this is coming on the heels of that. And so while chess is certainly a new frontier, we can't help but wonder if there's an opportunity to expand to other games out there, such as Settlers of Catan, maybe Monopoly. But talking about Catan, we have to shout out our friend Griffin, who is nationally ranked in the game of Catan, which is incredible.
Not only nationally ranked, he is the U.S. national champion.
He is the Magnus Carlsen of Catan Junior.
Yeah, we're talking about all these other athletes. We should be calling the Griffins, the Griffin Burstons of
the Griffmeister.
Yeah. But seriously, I mean, it makes you think of how this could be applied to other popular games. Like I know Catan has a cult following. Chess, obviously, super popular. You think of poker and other card games, how you could bring that online, similar to how esports have grown. I think there's a lot of different elements at play here, but clearly chess has like a very strong community, millions of online players. So to be able to bring the sport into the new age as other sports are from a spectator perspective is a really cool idea, and they have the right people behind it. So we'll be excited to check it out, maybe start a Venture Pill League if we want to.
Yeah.
I know who I'm picking.
That would be awesome. And it kind of reminds me of another trend. This one's more so just in entertainment and media, but I think the category creator for many, at least myself, was Drive to Survive, which was the inside scoop show on F1, which caused that sport to explode, at least within the United States. And then they continue doing it with golf, with tennis. They even have like ones for football and basketball, shows that are already popular enough, you'd think, but just having that behind the scenes footage and getting a little bit more of a view behind the curtain seemingly is a really popular trend within Netflix and media in general. And I think chess fits the bill as well.
Yeah. Call it checkmate.
Checkmate. Hey, listen, when it comes to life, play chess, not checkers.
Yeah. There you go. All right, our second company of this week's dose is Local Kitchens, which just announced a $40 million Series B led by General Catalyst. Now, this round included participation from existing investors, Human Capital, Pear VC, as well as Stanley Tang, who's the co-founder of DoorDash. He joins the company's board of directors. Now, this brings Local Kitchens' total funding to date to $75 million.
Yeah, not too shabby. A significant chunk of funding. Getting into a little bit more on the product and how it works. So Local Kitchens is a multi-brand restaurant with collaborations amongst beloved chefs. And then how it works is you can either order in person, online, or through the app. Then the Local Kitchen chefs prepare your food fresh to order, piping hot, of course. And then you can enjoy at your convenience for dine-in. So you can actually sit there in the restaurant. You can also do takeout. And of course, you can also do delivery as well.
Right. And I think at surface level, Local Kitchen seems like a ghost kitchen model, which have grown in popularity of recent, but Local Kitchens insist that they are not the same thing. For context, for those not really familiar, ghost kitchens are basically a shared kitchen space, oftentimes in like an office park or something, not necessarily like a prime location. And they're really optimized for delivery, where companies or restaurants can build a business out of just straight delivery and not have to pay as much, in overhead for a better location and actual dine in. Instead, with Local Kitchens, locations are completely owned and operated by the company itself. Not to mention these are actual restaurants, like you said, that you can go in and sit down and eat at, much different from a ghost kitchen. It does remind me, though, quickly of one of the very first companies we ever covered on Venture Pill, Wander, which is like Airbnb, but they own all of their properties and they kind of make it a really good guest experience designed for the 21st century, modern business pleasure traveler. And it kind of gave me the same vibe in that Local Kitchens owns and operates. They really want to elevate the experience. And, it just kind of reminded me of that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's a new spin on a kind of it's a new spin on kind of a trendy industry.
Yeah, no, it's a good analogy. I think that helps kind of lock in the framework, and way to dig into the archives for Wander.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to dig.
Companies. Dig deep. Man, how young and naive we were back then, huh?
If only we knew what we knew now.
Yeah. But back to Local Kitchen. So this new spin on the model apparently allows the company to earn 50% more sales per person per hour than traditional restaurants. And so for right now, they operate in 12 locations in the San Francisco Bay Area. And those locations partner with acclaimed local restaurant chains. So it's also, you're getting a little bit of a local restaurant spin on it too. Some of your local favorites might be involved in this experience. And so since the Series A in 2021, Local Kitchens has grown 5x and achieved unit level profitability. And according to the founder, 1 in 10 households in the Bay Area have tried the service, which it's a pretty big area. So that's a pretty notable market hold already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you go out to the Bay, baby. That's impressive growth. 5x in a matter of years is awesome. So congrats to the team. And this comes really at a time when ghost kitchens have risen and largely fallen due to operational challenges, lack of quality, and a lack of consumer trust in that quality. So Local Kitchens has kind of found a fresh take on the model, as we said. Much better unit economics and a much better overall customer experience, whether you're dining in or taking out or getting it delivered. Now, it remains to be seen how the company will expand its footprint, whether within the Bay Area or potentially outside of San Francisco. So I know I'd like to try it if I were in the area, but something like this makes a lot of sense, kind of like a food court meets a ghost kitchen, meets a local restaurant. It's a lot of meats. But we're not talking about Arby's. We have the meats.
Not to be confused with. Yeah, I wonder, I'm not sure if you uncovered this in the research, but if you're like sitting at this Local Kitchen restaurant, let's say it's in Chicago, could you get a chopped beef sandwich from Al's and a pizza from Luminati's or Lou Malnati's?
Yeah. From the Illuminati.
Yeah. And a cake shake from that other, one of the million places that
Portillo's.
Offer a cake from Portillo's. There it is. If you really want to,
this guy's a Chicago guy through and through. We can tell.
Yep, overdue I think
so. I just have to run a marathon first in order to offset the calorie intake. But
yeah, that is probably the equivalent of calories ingested in that meal I just curated there. But hey, if you want the quick Chicago experience, you're only there for a couple of days or a weekend. It's a good way to knock out, many birds with one stone or one restaurant visit.
Yeah, no, I think that is the idea. And it's also just a trusted, high quality experience, kind of congregating these local brands into one well-known spot. I think it makes a lot of sense. And clearly they're having good success. I'd love to see it expand to a city like Chicago. But I think it makes sense and is smart for them to focus on the area they know best and then expand out from there. So obviously some network effects at play here in local certain areas. Obviously locals in the name, so they're going to really hone in on that first. So
yeah. And hey, $40 million freshly raised, led by General Catalyst. A lot of momentum and strong signs of conviction going for Local Kitchens. Excited to see what's next. Hopefully they expand out the Bay Area, like we said. And to close out this week's dose, we have ZeroEyes, which is an AI-based gun detection, video analytics, and alert platform that just raised over $53 million in Series B funding. Ooh. I don't want to jump the gun, no pun intended, but this feels like an early candidate, an early favorite, actually, for favorite use of AI for our episode 200 awards show. But you be the judge of that. We'll continue breaking it down here.
Hey, that's not up to us. That's up to the committee.
You're right. You're right. So ZeroEyes was founded by Navy SEALs alongside elite technologists, and the company aims to stop gun-related violence in the United States through proactive threat detection. A little bit more on the funding details. The oversubscribed Series B was led by Sorensen Capital and joined by Intel Capital, Broadlight Capital, as well as many existing investors.
Yeah, so a little bit more on the product. ZeroEyes offers an end-to-end security solution that does the following. So first, it layers AI gun detection and intelligent situational awareness software onto existing digital security cameras. It proactively identifies the illegal brandishing of guns near or in an occupied area or building before shots are fired. It also provides actionable intelligence to the on-site staff at that building and first responders. It can dispatch alerts within 3 to 5 seconds of gun detection. A truly comprehensive AI meets hardware, existing hardware, which I think is awesome, meets partnership with first responders and staff to keep people more safe. It's really fantastic.
It really is. And so digging in a little bit deeper here, the platform employs a human verification. So it's not just all AI based. There are humans verifying it. You don't want any false alarms or anything like that. But it employs human verification through the ZeroEyes Operations Center, the ZOC, which is staffed 24/7, 365 days a year by trained U.S. military and law enforcement veterans. If a gun is identified, images are instantly shared with the ZOC, and if those experts determine that the threat is valid, they dispatch alerts and actionable intelligence, including visual description, gun type, and last known location, to first responders and local staff, again, as quickly as 3 to 5 seconds from detection. And that's really the big thing here. I mean, in a horrific incident where there is a gun being brandished illegally, time is arguably never more of the essence than in that exact scenario. So being able to identify and alert people about that in a matter of a couple seconds is really, there's no telling how many lives that could save.
Yeah, seriously. And the number of places and businesses that could make use of this is truly endless. So a little bit more on the adoption thus far. The gun detection and intelligent situational awareness software currently protect thousands of buildings for hundreds of customers across 42 states, and demand continues to grow in especially education, commercial, transit, and government sectors. So including adoption by the U.S. Department of Defense, leading public K-12 school districts, colleges, healthcare facilities, commercial property groups, manufacturing plants, Fortune 500 corporate campuses, shopping malls, big box retail stores, and more. Basically, anywhere there are a lot of people in a building, this could be used, which is, I mean, you talk about total addressable market. That's pretty vast.
Right, yeah, and all those places have, for the most part, video cameras set up, so it's really just a software to go on top of the video cameras, essentially. And maybe people aren't always checking all the video cameras in a massive mall, but if you see an alert here, then it's easy to know where to look, for lack of a better way of saying it. And so the startup's patented solution is recognized by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security as a promising anti-terrorism technology and is the first video analytics technology to receive Safety Act DT&E designation. So this has been verified by some of the biggest departments and trusted security sources within the country. Strong conviction. Clearly, this software is onto something and very effective. And so far, there have been over a dozen arrests as a result of the software. And on top of that, on top of everything we just covered, the ZeroEye teams also provides consulting, installation assistance, and practice drills for active shooter events to enhance safety at schools, as well as corporate and government facilities. So a really comprehensive solution they're offering here.
Yeah, seriously, comprehensive, vertically integrated,
Yeah.
all the words you would want to see. Super impressive. And so a little bit more on what the future holds. CEO and co-founder Mike Lahiff envisions ZeroEyes software becoming the fire alarm of the future, with the goal of deploying gun detection software on every camera in the nation. That's a ambitious and valiant goal that we can certainly get behind. And we just loved this quote from Mike, and we quote, "Every time a shooting happens, people give thoughts and prayers. that's bullshit. Let's do something, end quote. And I mean, that's just so inspiring and so true. And they're actually putting something into action that can help people save lives and make our buildings and common spaces a lot more safe.
Yeah, right. Really just make our country as a whole safer, right? Reducing gun violence. Everyone wins in that scenario. And, to close out on ZeroEyes, this is exactly that cross-section of venture capital that you and I just love covering. And I'm glad you found this company, partner, because it's got the cool AI tech, futuristic, software components that you'd love in a traditional venture capital startup. But it's also applying that technology to a very important mission of preventing gun violence and making everyone safer. And it's just, you and I could go on and on about this, but this is exactly the type of company that gets us fired up about venture capital and the role it has in, building the future of the world, really.
Yeah. I mean, it would be hard for a company like this to accomplish its goals in an efficient manner without the fuel of venture capital. I mean, there are other methods, sure, but to really conquer a problem and tackle a market, something so big of a mission like this, it requires ambition. It requires capital to fuel it, and that's why they raised such a big round. They're going to have some challenges, no doubt, in selling to these large institutions. A lot of red tape, bureaucracy to work through, a lot of legal implications, I'm sure, but they're certainly onto something here. We love it, and certainly excited to keep tabs on ZeroEyes as they work towards this mission.
Yep. Well said, partner. And I think that just about does it for this week's dose.
Love the energy today, from afar. 1,000 miles separates us, partner, but it feels ever closer.
You know it, partner. And to all our listeners out there, appreciate you as always. Hope you enjoyed this diverse dose, and we'll catch you next week.
See y'all next time. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another dose of startups and venture capital. And as always, we appreciate our pilgrims spreading the word about the show. Share with your friends and help someone else make the pilgrimage. See you next time.
She told me that she only bumps my music when she's lonely. Thinks my vibe's a little low-key, okie dokie, that's alright, but wait, I don't know how to do things different.